women do that. We save our men. We save your men.
Yeah, I believe it 100%. There's been a few different pieces of writing on like what made Stephen King so successful is that, he
Yeah,
could write for like 2 or 3 hours at a clip because somebody was cooking breakfast for him or whatever. And I am absolutely guilty of this situation. I'm like writing for 2.5 hours straight in the morning, and then Abby's like, "Hey, are you going to eat food today?"
that's great. My housemate does that, and because she was a teacher, she'll get her teacher voice on. Elle, have you eaten today? Yes, yes, miss, I have. I want to be like, I'm in trouble now. I got detention. I haven't eaten. But she's really great about making meals while I'm in the zone too.
Yeah.
Um, she's a great roommate. So yeah,
Yeah, you can get into a writing zone, right? Where you just like don't even know how much time is passing and it's just
that's the zone. That's what I call it. And it truly is. I mean, you could drop a nuclear bomb and I'd be like, hold on, let me finish the sentence. Kill me in a minute. Um, and I get like that. And I usually write about the early hours of the morning,
hmm
about between like 3 and 8
Oh wow.
a.m.
Yeah, okay.
I'm an early riser. I get up early anyway because pain wakes me up and then I'm wide awake. And
hmm
I'll go back to sleep and nap later, but I like writing in the early hours in the morning when you can almost feel the breathing of the world as they sleep soundly and you can plug into that, calm. And then while you're plugging into that, you're accessing your subconscious, that dream state that you just came out of. And I pull a lot of creativity from that space when I meditate and try to stay in that dream state while I write.
That's so cool. Wow. I love that visual of the world breathing, sleeping all
Yeah,
around you. Yeah.
everyone's dreaming and I'm catching their dreams and catching their creativity and whatever. I feel it and I try to plug into that and just flow.
Yeah,
And that's how I write.
that's so cool. Do you feel like your writing is like your own thoughts, the thoughts that are coming in from the like this collective unconscious or some sort of
I don't know.
combination of
I
all of
like
it?
to think they're my own thoughts, but you never know what comes through on the ether. I mean, how many times have you said, I have a great idea, and then you say it out loud, and as soon as you say it out loud, somebody else comes up with it. But if you keep it in your head, it stays in your head.
Yeah,
But the thing about writing is I could write something, you could write something from the same prompt, and there'll be two different pieces, you
right.
know? And I love that about being a writer because there's really no competition between us as writers because we're all different and we can all achieve success at the same time without having to step on each other. And to me, that's been the camaraderie because writing can be so solitary. It's such a solitary profession.
hmm
But it's not really when you think about the community that forms and the editing that takes place. And I always send my pieces off to somebody to look at before I publish because I don't trust my own eyes to do all the editing.
hmm
Um, I have a couple writing buddies that I use, and then, it just comes about with community. I'm really grateful for the community that I found as a writer.
Yeah, yeah, same. I feel lucky to have been pulled into the community that, the whole Wordsmiths Weekly and Susan and her group has
Susan's
been.
great. When she takes you under her wing, you're in. Like she really takes care of you and that whole community, the medium community, Mudium community has been wonderful to me. I'm an editor for Mudium as well,
Hmm.
and they're wonderful people. Wonderful.
Yeah, it seems like it. I can't quite crack the funny enough code to get into.
I just submitted one to Mudium. It's not really funny more like a charming little vignette, but it's a from the perspective of being a pre-dug hole in the desert. And the spirit of the desert watches somebody come and pre-dig a hole, because there's a saying in Arizona, you got to have a pre-dug hole in the desert. The reason for that is it's hard packed. It's not soil, it's rock dust compressed. And so it looks like soil, acts like a boulder, and you'll break your shovels repeatedly trying to dig holes. So you have to soak it with water, loosen the dirt for like 2 days, and then you got to bring extra shovels and dig and dig and dig. And so the idea, the joke is that you need the pre-dug hole, because when you're committing a crime, you don't have time for that. You got to dump that body, you know? So it's from the perspective of a pre-dug hole in the desert waiting to find out what's going to be filled. And I don't know, it's just something that's silly that I came up with, you know?
Yeah, you never know what's gonna work. When it comes to the humor, I feel like I think I've tried too hard.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's
yeah.
hard. It's really hard. I'm only accidentally funny.
Hmm.
And when I write, I like to write funny poems sometimes. Um, I wrote one called Lament of the Ditties, because I hate having big boobs. And so that whole poem was about my disdain for my big boobs. And the stagnation of procrastination is another one I wrote about procrastinating. And
Hmm.
I usually only rhyme my poems when I'm doing funny ones. Usually the rest of the stuff is prose, just, you know,
Yeah.
as it comes out. But I haven't written a poem in a while though.
Yeah, wow. So you're writing in all the different formats. What do you have a space that you feel like your most comfortable or natural way to write?
Yeah, I started out as a fiction writer.
Hmm.
So and lately I haven't been writing as much fiction. I feel most comfortable in the fiction space, but I didn't at first. When I started writing for Medium, for example, I didn't want to be pigeonholed, I thought.
Hmm.
And there's a difference between being pigeonholed and finding a niche that works for you.
Hmm.
And when I write about chronic illness, chronic pain, that's pain is universal. It doesn't need translation. What I feel and what you feel may be caused by two different things, but pain is pain, right?
Yeah.
Suffering is suffering. And so every time I write an article about chronic pain and illness is when I make my most income, I get my most reads,
Hmm.
it gets boosted or it gets featured or there's traction.
Hmm.
So writing in that space has meant a lot to me because it has brought me a community of people. I founded a chronic pain and illness support group about 4 years ago. And from that, I found writers who I brought to the group, and it's been a journey. I had my biggest successes writing about chronic pain and illness, even though that was never my intent when I started out writing. It's easy to write from the heart there,
Hmm.
because I live it all the time, you know?
Yeah. 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 Isn't that um interesting how you can be writing in all the different kinds of genres or writing in fiction and then you write something from the heart and all of a sudden it resonates with so many people and then it's like
Hmm.
a positive you get positive feedback when you get that many people like something you're like oh I want to do this
Yeah.
more you know.
Or writing about grief, that's been another one. I've had a
Mm.
lot of loss. And in 2021, I lost, well, my whole immediate family,
Oh,
except for my dad. And he's the only living relative I have left. And so, losing my stepdad, my mom, my sister, my cousin, my aunt, my two closest friends all in 1 year,
jeez.
um, that's grief. And then before that, I experienced a lot of loss. I'm a widow.
Mm.
I was widowed at 26, and um, writing about that has brought me more, I think, readers and more comments and more money than anything else, because that's another place you can write from and you can speak your truth pretty easily because grief is raw, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
But you can't, the trick though is that I've learned is you can't trauma dump on your pieces, you know?
Hmm.
You don't want to be like, oh, my life sucks, I'm grieving, the end. You know,
Right. Yeah.
readers need to come away with light. They don't want to carry your pain. They want to see your transformation to the light.
Yeah.
And that's what they really want to that's what they want to take away from your pieces is how did you get through this so I can get through my pain too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's well, and um, I feel like I need to pause because it's just such a heavy topic. Um, s- so the idea of trauma dumping or just in general, writing that's complaining seems to not work, and
Mhm.
writing that's teaching seems to not work either. Like a I faced all this trauma, but look at me. Um, here's the ways that you survive trauma. No, it's like,
Nobody wants to read that because nobody wants
yeah,
to be preached to.
right. Yeah,
They
nobody
want to
wants to be,
see this
yeah,
is how I survived it. You can
yeah,
do what you want,
yeah,
but this is what I did, you know?
yeah, yeah. I think that's where I struggle or have struggled the most is I feel like I was born a pretty good storyteller and I could tell stories around a table just for fun. And I'm also a teacher. Like I spent my whole life teaching, college professor,
Yeah.
teacher. I'm like the dad, right? Like everything's about a lesson. And my early writing is like more preachy and more teachy.
Yeah, mine
Um,
too. But I've learned that like having those CTAs, those calls to action in the at the very end, or just ending with a note, just the last few paragraphs, switching that to positivity, but not trying to teach a lesson, just saying, this is what I did. This is
yeah,
what it was like. This is what happened. And this is what it's like now. Take what you will.
yeah.
That seems to work a little bit better. And I understand the teaching thing completely. I have a class coming up that I'm teaching. We were going to start it in a week or so, but we're pushing it back to March,
Hmm.
to give people some time to recover from the holidays and
Yeah,
be able to sign up for the class. But it's a 6-week class from idea to edit. And it starts out with how do you get the chaos in your brain to translate to an idea on paper? And
hmm,
then once you do that, how do you get that first line? That first line is what always gets me. I'll stare at a blank page going, I need that great first line.
mm,
And then it would stump me, and you can't edit a blank page. So what I learned was skip the first line and start in the middle, or start wherever you feel that thought is coming and then come back and sew it together. I don't
yeah,
write linearly, you
right.
know?
Yeah.
And when I stopped writing so linearly, it clicked more as a writer.
Hmm.
But I had to be taught that, I went to school, whatever I learned in college, whatever I learned in workshops, classes. I mean, I've taken hundreds and hundreds of workshops, and it's all stuff I want to give back, because it was so freely given to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not qualified to teach anything about how to be a good writer.
You're a good writer.
I'll take all the lessons though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we never stop learning our craft, and as long as, I mean, even Stephen King says that, like, the best writers in the world will say, if you don't stop learning, if you stop learning, you're going to stop because you get stagnant. And
Hmm.
nobody wants to be stagnant in anything in their life. We should always be learning and growing, right?
Yep.
Well, when you're always improving your craft, like I look at stuff I did my first couple of weeks of Medium and I want to take it down. I want to tear it down because my writing has improved so much in the last 2 years, versus where I was before.
Hmm.
I got pitched by a magazine that saw one of my articles, which was
Hmm.
really flattering.
Hmm.
I was in the American Chronic Pain Association's journal, two of my pieces or three of my pieces. And they saw it, and Prevention Magazine came to me and asked if I would write an article for them. Well, the first one I sent, I had more read back than article. Like it was like a 750 word article and like 1,500 words of this is shit, you know?
Wow.
Then I sent it back a second time and they were like, perfect, done, published, good, no changes. Like, so I got it.
Hmm.
But wow, it's a different world. Publishing with publishers versus just putting it out there because you do get that feedback and you do learn and it's how we become better.
Yeah, it was a huge transformation. So, um, but yeah, I never did it for the money, but then I did join the partner program because,
Why
uh,
not?
yeah, honestly, it was for me. Yeah, it was like, this is, this is a community of writers and there's people that write for a living on here. And I should put my best work behind the paywall because I want to encourage people to become paying members of Medium because that raises all the ships, you know. And it was less about trying to make money for myself than it was about just trying to infuse money into the whole system.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
nice.
but then it's rewarding, you know. You see, you're like, oh man, I made, I don't know, I think in 2024, I made like 1,200 bucks or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
okay, that's not nothing.
I made like 4 grand my first year on Medium,
Hmm.
but I didn't make that my second year. But I think what really got me was the reads and the views and
Hmm.
not feeling like I was just like I am now, I was screaming into the void on
Hmm.
Medium.
Yeah,
My readership has dropped like everybody else's. Now, part of that's because I'm not publishing as frequently,
yeah.
in the past few months. But part of that is it's just the way it's changed, the changes they've made, the metrics they've changed. I would rather make $5 a month and get thousands of reads than get thousands of dollars and 5 reads.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
about it's about my it's about as a writer that validation of being read. So that's what it's more about for me.
yeah, yeah. You want your words to resonate with people, right? And that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that a lot. Cool. Well, talking about um, your writing, I'd love to hear the piece that you're gonna read today.
Okay, well, I was gonna read just a little part of it because it's pretty long, so I
Yeah.
don't want to. It's called How Chronic Pain Tries to Erase Me. Pain has made me small, but I'm smiling as the subtitle. That's important because this is really about anything that you go through, any suffering, any obstacle that tries to make you erase, invisible, no longer noticed or a part of life. And it's about the struggle with that. And I think anyone can relate to that if you've ever struggled with something that's tried to take you out
Hmm.
and you have to come back from that. And it's more than just the painfulness, it's about feeling invisible, feeling not seen.
Hmm.
And we all want to be seen, right?
Yeah.
So I open up with, um, I'm invisible, like someone in a fog. You might sense that I'm there. I'm like a shadow in your periphery. My words may reach you, but I am still unseen. I want to be seen. I disappear from people's minds the moment I say I'm in pain. That's when people quickly say, I'm sorry, while they flinch and turn away. I understand their fears. I know pain and illness are uncomfortable. Pain is impolite. It overstays its welcome. It is unwanted company, a negative in a world awash in negativity. It talks a little bit about that afterwards, about how, you know, people reject you, they don't look at you.
Mm.
Um, Rare disease sufferers get no cheerleaders. What people don't understand, they ridicule. Even worse, I threaten your grand illusion, the one where hard work and positivity cures suffering, perfect health is a choice, and youth is a guarantee. I talk a little bit after that about the pain that I'm in, and it's a lot of bone pain, joint pain, muscle pain, and worse, I have nerve pain. I have two nerve diseases, and they leave me extremely broken. So I'm going to just read a little bit from there. You would think I learned to anticipate it, but I'm still sometimes blindsided by the intense pain. It's violent. The breeze on my arms feels like sandpaper made of broken glass. Clothing can be torture. The shower feels like little needles of acid. All of my nerve endings feel like they're being bitten by fire ants. Fuck you, pain, I think. Fuck you for never leaving. I hate your guts so much. I wish you were a person so I could murder you painfully. I'm sentenced to suffering for the rest of my life, every microsecond, for all time. Yet I smile. If I don't smile, I'll buckle and I'll become an unseen, forgotten casualty. That's not my style. I may fall down, but Elle Becker has never given up. Life is worth living. Smiling means I'm more noticeable, and it feels good to have a grin on my face. Do you see me yet? You're getting there. I refuse to be a ghost during my most precious story, my life. No longer will I remain invisible as I drift through another day. I'm still smiling. Here is a hard truth. If you walk through hell daily, you will not survive unless you leave room for grace. A genuine smile is the armor I wear in a world where suffering reduces my humanity. I invite grace and peace in and let go of my resentments. I make room for pain too. Whether I like it or not, my pain isn't leaving. I smile because somewhere out there another person is suffering like I am, and I want them to know that they are not alone, and there is peace to be found between heartbeats. I'm here and I'm alive. My breath, each breath in my lungs is an announcement of my victory. Each word that flows out of me cements the legacy I'll someday leave behind. My voice, my truth. Pain is distracting, but I follow hope, my guide. My words are a lighthouse in the fog, thrown out for anyone who wants to keep hanging on. You don't have to roar to be seen. A mighty whisper can also command attention. So then I talk a little bit about what I do to fight the pain. And then it ends with my story has suffering and sadness. With a dry humor, I have attempted to turn that into grace and hope. It wasn't me who was lost in the fog, though I floated on your fringe. If you choose, you can look my way. My voice will keep calling out, trying to be a beacon for others who are tormented. I refuse to be invisible. And that's it.
Powerful, super powerful. Yeah. Yeah, you can see why this resonates with so many people because everyone experiences pain. I think.
Hmm. Pain needs no translator, regardless of what's causing it. Um, Pain is pain, and you know, pain is relative, and it's subjective, but at the same time, we can all understand, even if we can't empathize, we can sympathize.
Hmm.
Empathy demands effort, and people don't really want to make that effort these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's it's maybe we can relate to having some pain, right? But somebody that doesn't deal with chronic pain, it's hard to really know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to really empathize with that. I'm just trying to think in terms of like what could be the
It's
cause.
like if you had a headache and
Uh,
it never went away,
yeah,
ever.
yeah, it's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah, I
Um,
have nerve pain and I have something called chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy, and it's like MS peripherally. It demyelinates my myelin sheaths that cover my pain receptors.
mm,
So it's like fire ants are biting my nerve endings on my arms and legs all the time.
mm,
And it's gotten a lot better because I'm on immunotherapy. I get IV, intravenous immunoglobulin immunotherapy or IVIG every 2 weeks.
mhm,
And it's an 11 and a half hour infusion. My nurse comes to my house. I have a port in my chest and they plug me in, I say, and they give me this plasma. And it's antibodies from 60,000 donors. It takes a year to make one bottle, and I take three throughout my treatment that day.
wow.
Um, so I always laugh because do you remember Hands Across America in the 80s?
Yeah,
Okay, well, 60,000 donors per bottle. The world is coming together to save me, is what it feels like.
yeah. Holy
And
cow.
anybody that and it's all antibodies from 60,000 donors, and so it kills my antibodies and replaces my immune system for 2 weeks.
Hmm. Wow, what a beautiful way to look at it. Like so many people coming together.
Yeah. I wonder if I get inspiration. Like, they say people take on the personalities of the organ they get in organ transplants. Like,
Yeah.
I have 60,000 donors coming at me. Like, if that's not giving me inspiration, I don't know what will?
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like I get my inspiration from that.
I'm hearing this theme, right, of getting up really early in the morning and like the inspiration from all of the people dreaming in your community, and then the inspiration from all the people, all the donors, and so it's like there's so much inspiration coming from the community from,
Yeah.
and then there's this whole thing about being invisible too, right? So,
Yes. That's huge. I went through 3 years of daily chemotherapy for my disease. It's not cancer, but it's hardy and it's hard to calm the mast cells I have a disease of my white blood cells.
hmm,
So they put me on chemo, which now studies have told them that is a very bad thing to do. It broke me and I gained like 60 pounds and my nerve pain went from like a 6 to an 11 on the pain scale, and
hmm,
it was bad. Um, and so I kind of lost my train of thought just now. But I think my point was, you do feel invisible, especially when you're a 40 something chubby woman. I could rob Fort Knox and no one would even look at me. I could walk into a store and pick up what I wanted and walk out and no one's even gonna look at me, you
hmm,
know?
hmm.
So there's invisibility there that comes with just being a 40 something woman. And then when you have chronic pain and illness and you don't get out much, it really takes a toll on your identity.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I can't relate to any of these topics.
That's good. That's a good thing because I don't want you to be the
I mean,
pain.
the closest thing I can relate to the pain is like getting a tattoo and just getting to that point where I've got a couple of tattoos where the session, lasted like 7, 8 hours, and there's a point where it's like, oh, this doesn't hurt that bad. But then,
It's
after you're
exhausting.
after you're ready for it to be done is when it starts to be like, okay, this is now I just want it to be done. Like it can be done now, and you're only halfway through and it's like, okay, how many more hours do we have going? So that's like the closest little, thing. And I can't imagine saying, oh, this is going to go on for days and days.
Yeah.
Like that's the part where I couldn't possibly imagine it. And I definitely cannot imagine being a 40-year-old woman invisible. Like that's just something that um yeah, clearly have no frame of reference there.
Well, I think with pain, my pain is always there. And it's like right now it's not so bad. I'm
Mhm.
sitting here, I'm talking to you. It's
Yeah.
okay. My legs are numb. They're asleep completely.
Mhm.
I can't get up right now. If I wanted to, it would take a minute, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and that affects my writing, because it's hard to write when you're in pain. It's hard to write. It's hard to think straight when you're in pain or you don't feel well or I get nauseous and I reject all food unless I have cannabis in my system.
Mhm.
So I have to have cannabis in my system to eat, and that in itself is a problem. In
Mhm.
Arizona, it was great because it's recreational and we can grow our own, and I did. And
Mhm.
I had a good supply. And here I have my medical card, but you can't grow any.
Mhm.
So it
Yeah.
becomes a budget thing.
Yeah. 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 Wow. Are you interested in taking any topics into the whole mind game? Have you looked at the
Yeah, I
whole
did look at the mind game. Yeah, let's do it. Let's totally do
is
it.
there a tension that's like top of mind for you? I mean, I wrote a couple of things down, but I'm kind of curious if there's a maybe it could be from your story, it could be something that you're just dealing with today, a tension that you're dealing with today, just something that you're excited to explore after looking at it. Uh,
Let me think. Well, I'm putting my portfolio together. That's the only thing that came to mind is I'm really excited about that. So I can decide what to publish as a book,
hmm
making that outline, making the
Yeah,
decision that I'm going to publish a book this year
yeah,
is been like really exciting for me because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm really gonna do it. And it's crazy because I have enough stuff written already that could form that book
yeah.
that I want to write more to go with it. But it's like, how did I get to this place where, there was a few years ago when I first started writing, I didn't want anyone to read my stuff because of course when you first start writing, you're embarrassed, right?
hmm
So I entered a writing competition just so that I would get comfortable with someone reading my work that wasn't me and a stranger. And so it was a poetry competition I entered and I won. So I was like, they did an award ceremony, they published me in a book, and it was great. Um, but that really lit the fire under me for writing, you
hmm
know?
Yeah,
But it's a hard thing when you think about putting it out there and then coming to the place where now I have so much out there, I have to decide what to narrow down? That's kind of exciting.
yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, are you thinking about narrowing down what's everything that's already published on Medium and trying to pick highlights to put together into a collection?
Yeah, highlights that are about a certain subject or topic, and then I'll write more on it, you
hmm
know?
Yeah, yeah. What's is there a specific tension in there that you want to like a this or that? Do you feel like between a rock and a hard place decision in that world?
Not right now. Not off the top of my head, but if you think of anything, go for it.
Well, the the things that I wrote down while you were reading your piece, I wrote down this like tension between being invisible and having a connection. Um,
Yeah.
And then it kind of came up in the conversation afterwards too, like the feeling of being invisible, but then you've got like you're getting these infusions and you're connected to all these people. So like you're kind of you can be simultaneously invisible while walking through a store, but you're connected to all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other ones that I wrote down right in the story, you talk about like suffering and sadness on one side and grace and hope on the other. So that's, I think, like,
Yeah.
how do
That's
you
a big
hold,
one for me.
yeah, how do you hold those two things? How do you hold suffering and sadness on one side and grace and hope on the other side? So,
Um, Somebody told me once, don't dishonor the thing or person that you love by wrapping your memories in grief.
hmm
So when I think about my loss, when I think about the people that I've lost, I don't get sad when I think about them. I try to think of a good memory because if
hmm
I wrap it in grief, that's just dishonoring them, you know?
yeah,
They wouldn't like that.
yeah,
And I do the same with my condition, with my diagnoses. I don't look at it from a grieving. I've grieved already the person that I was going to be before I became sick, um, or the ideas and the identity that I was versus who I am now is this invisible nobody in my
hmm
mind, right?
yeah,
Um, and I was gonna take the world by storm, you know? Um, but my health got in the way.
yeah,
And so I think the other thing that connects me to people, and I want to bring this up really fast, is my dad is a glass artist.
mm,
Um, he was an engineer. When he retired, he became a glass artist. And he makes fused glass pieces and he makes something called touchstones. This is an example of one right here. Isn't that beautiful?
wow, yeah, it is
It's
beautiful.
fused glass. It's layer upon layer upon layer, oops, of glass. And you can see like the side and then the back. It's all different layers of glass. Okay. And each one is as unique as a fingerprint. They're like the size of worry stones or something. But the thing is, my dad infuses it with connection and love.
hmm
He does a like a ritual over it. He's given out over 30,000 of these so far. Portland took it to their sister city in Japan. Like he's gone to every hospital, every children's home, every foster home, every doctor, every place you can think of, and to give these out because everything is connected. And he believes that and I believe that, right?
hmm
So when you're holding on to this, you're holding on to something that 30,000 people are connected to. And um that is huge to me, you know? And I took that idea, like the donors from the antibodies, it's the same kind of thing. I'm connected and everything is connected. So when I feel alone, when I feel invisible, I can hold something like this. I can write a story that connects me to somebody that somebody's going to relate to.
hmm
And that's how I feel a part of again. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's like this theme of connection that's so ever present from the first moment of our conversation, right? Like
Yeah.
you're connected through the dreams that people are having in the
Yeah.
community. You're connected through you can hear the breathing, you're connected through the transfusion, you're connected through pain. I mean, everybody that has ever experienced pain, there's a connection that's different. um, you're connected
Or
through the glass.
sadness
Yeah,
or loss.
yeah, yeah. You're connected as a writer. You're connecting people. You're bringing other people together to connect. Like you're gonna do this workshop, and
Hmm.
people are gonna come, and you're going to create new
New
connections.
connections, new
Yeah,
neural pathways, you
yeah.
know?
And not only between you and them, but like between other people in the group, right? Like I joined the Wordsmiths Weekly, and now it's like I've got other connections that are just I would have never
Yeah.
expected or experienced. So you're also like a connector
They
Uh,
come out of the woodwork when you start doing those workshops and stuff, you
yeah,
know? There
yeah.
was a story of a girl who had a touchstone, a high school student, and there was an active shooter at her school. So she's hiding under the desk, the lights are off, they've done their drill, you know, and
Hmm.
her phone is in her backpack, which is across the room. So she doesn't know if any of her friends are okay. She wants to call her mom,
Hmm.
and she can't, but she's got a touchstone. So she reached in her pocket and she held it and she felt connected the whole time and she felt safe and she knew she was going to be okay. So then she wrote my dad that story. I thought that
That's
was pretty
awesome.
cool.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
I
So you
mean,
never know what connects us.
yeah.
And I'm always looking for those connections between people. How can I find common ground? How
Mm,
can I connect with you? Because when we just look at our differences, that's where we're at. That's what got us to the state this country's in today.
hmm.
You know, everybody's looking at differences instead of our common ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Agreed.
there has to be compromise, and I don't think it exists anymore in politics, compromise and decorum.
Yeah,
And those two things are integral to a political system working. You know,
yeah,
you must be willing to compromise at times. You
yeah,
must have decorum at all times. And they're out the window.
yeah, yeah. It's just like the world's become this black and white place. It's just like it's everybody's on one side or the other.
And nobody's a
Yeah.
villain or
Mhm.
all good or all bad. You
Right. Yeah.
know,
Yep.
we all live in the gray, and
Hmm.
people forget that. People say, "Oh, I hate that guy." No,
Yeah.
you know, even Jeffrey Dahmer had a mother who loved him. You know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody has redeeming qualities on a certain level.
Yep.
There are certain things,
Yeah.
and um we need to remember that. We need to remember that we're all connected. Again, we're all the
Yeah.
same. Even if I'm in pain and you're not, and you can't relate to my pain, you can relate to the frustration of having something to deal with that never goes away, or of an obstacle that's
Yeah.
always going to be there that you're never going to overcome, but you can always try to work with, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
That's kind
Yeah.
of how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree all the way. I mean, the whole like namaste, honoring the light in you, it's like I will say that to Jeffrey Dahmer. I'll say that to Hitler. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's and the thing is too, I mean, I've dealt with some mental illness in my life. Not well, yeah, sure. I'm sure I've dealt with personal mental illness,
Right.
but I mean,
But you've known it.
I've experienced mental illness in my life in a way that I could be angry or I could be bitter, and one of the so I guess just the best exercises or realizations is, hey, is mental illness real? Yes, yes, it is. Okay, so do you hate people with mental illness? It's like, no, no, I don't hate people with mental illness. So then what are you angry at? Who are you angry at? Like, it'd be like being angry at somebody who has any other kind of illness, like you have cancer, I hate you, you have mental
Yeah.
illness, I hate you. It just doesn't, it's,
That's a great way to look at it.
you
That's
know, it's,
really
yeah,
good.
it just sort of opened my mind up to the fact that like, if I really feel like I've found that I'm in a state where if somebody was to, if I was in the middle of something awful, somebody broke into my house and and shot me in the chest, I would just be like, I love you as I'm falling to the ground. Because like, what has to take a person to that place? What causes someone to get there is
I
Uh,
think the same as you. I look at people like that and go, how badly are you suffering that you had to do this?
yeah, where did your mind go to get you there? And then maybe you just experienced enough, we'll call it mental illness or enough ego, like the ego of who I was when I was, say, 5 versus 10 versus 20 years old. Like I look at who I was and what the decisions I was making at that time, and it's like I man, I was just like a robot of like built up pieces, and it's pretty easy to build a few scenarios here and there where I could have turned into something just like that. Like it doesn't seem
Right.
far-fetched to just say like, oh man, if this other if you just like if I just was born into a different place or had different experiences, who knows what I could have or would have become. And then it's like then you start to judge a human being by every domino that fell before them plus the mental illness that they're facing, and it just is like, okay, I love you. You
You
know.
know,
And
that's true. And that brings up a point. I was just talking to somebody the other day. When you're in chronic pain or chronically ill, you're not allowed to have a bad day. You're not
mhm.
allowed to be in a bad mood because people go, "Don't take your pain out on me." It's like,
Mm,
no, I'm just human and I'm in a shitty fucking mood. I
yeah,
don't want to be here. I don't want to do this, or I don't want,
yeah,
and you lose that privilege when you're in pain
yeah,
because people think, well, you're just in pain and you're taking it out on me. It's like,
yeah,
no, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and I'm just cranky today.
yeah,
Or I have a right to be angry, yet it's invalidated
hmm,
because
yeah,
you
yeah. I it's there's also that separation of like mental illness and physical illness, right? Like is and then
right.
especially pain, it's probably
Well,
it's which
I
one
I don't
is
know
it?
that there's so much a separation though,
There shouldn't
because
be. Yeah.
I always say that my conditions don't stop at the neck.
Yeah.
They affect my thinking.
Hmm.
They affect the way I believe things. My outlook on life is all affected by my pain.
Yeah.
And it causes depression. It worsens depression. It worsens my anxiety.
Yeah.
It worsens my ADHD.
Yeah.
Those are all
Yeah.
mental illness or ADHD. I don't know what ADHD is classified as, but
Hmm.
I know it's mental. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing a world where there is absolutely no separation between the mental and the physical. Like they are one thing.
That would be
And
great.
and I wish that we didn't define them as two different things.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's
yeah.
mental is still your brain. Your brain is an organ,
Yeah, it
you
is.
know,
Yeah.
and you have chemical imbalances that create behaviors, and the behaviors are the symptoms of the chemical imbalances.
Right. Yeah.
It's a physical illness, and calling it mental illness is almost a misnomer.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. It's a physical thing, like your brain is a physical thing. Um, yeah, I try to think like one of my favorite examples or like mental models is just, we have like mental and physical, and then we have we live in a world that's a digital and a physical world, right? And so
Hmm.
I like to think in terms of a photograph that's in the cloud and a photograph that's like a Polaroid. Like this is a physical photograph, right? And I think that like the mental model that I use is, well, that photograph that's in the cloud is on a hard drive somewhere. It's on a physical thing. And that hard drive it could be all the way, it could be at an Amazon server in, Virginia somewhere, but it's in a physical place. But it could also
Right,
be like in, say, this USB stick, right? And so like this photograph that's on this Polaroid and this photograph that's on this USB stick, they're both physical things. And if I take, like a lighter and I burn both of them, I'm burning up the photograph either way. Like I'm destroying the photograph either way. And then if you think of like what are all the ways to corrupt that photograph, especially thinking about the digital one. Like, here's the digital photograph that's on the USB. Like, I could smash it with a hammer, and that would mess up the digital photograph. I could burn it, and that would mess up the digital photograph. There could get a virus, like a computer
Right.
virus, right? And that could mess up the digital photograph. So there's all these different ways to mess up the digital photograph, but it's still a physical object that is being like that you're messing around with. And and then when I think about that, like, okay, mental illness. How did the mental illness come about? Did it come about because you got a concussion? You like something banged into your head, like a physical, like, trauma? Is
Mm-hmm.
the mental illness because you got some weird virus that attacked the brain? Is the mental illness because of a chemical imbalance? Is the mental illness because of an endocrine system imbalance? Like all of these things are physical things, like that exist
Exactly.
in the real physical world. And then when you flip it around and you take like a physical, like you you break an arm, right? And it's like you break an arm, that seems like a very physical thing, but there's like pain that are neuro, there's like you're feeling it, it's like it still all goes to the brain. So you take anything that's physical is mental, and anything that is mental is physical. And at the end of the day, it's just like one thing that we've decided to describe in two different ways. Um, and just the word pain in and of itself absolutely does not live in, you can sort of think about one like, oh, my imagination is in my mind and my arm is a physical thing. But when you just say the word pain, it's like,
What does that mean?
what does that mean? Is that a mental thing? Is that a physical thing? It's like, yes, it's both.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
They're tangible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And that's there's so much truth to that. Like, I mean, pain pain is weird because like it's something that you feel but you can't put your finger on, you know?
Hmm.
Like it's a signal from my brain being sent to a receptor, let's say right here, saying hurt, you know?
Hmm.
But I touch my arm and I can't find the pain. I can't touch it. It's it's weird where I feel it. You know, you just know you're feeling it without being able to tell where it's coming from sometimes.
Hmm.
And that's strange to me, you know, that I can't control pain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's weird that they can't figure out a way to stop it because they can figure out a way to stop a bunch of stuff, but they can't fully block your pain receptor without overdosing you, killing you, or depressing your breathing.
Hmm.
So it's strange how people live. And I mean, I have dreams where I'm being lit on fire
Mm.
and I wake up screaming to the sound of my own screaming. And that's because my nerves hurt. Or one time I dreamed, and it's in that article, I dreamed I was standing in a human meat grinder and they were grinding my legs to hamburger
Ooh,
patties
gosh.
because my legs hurt so much in my sleep, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and how does pain, how is it so insidious that it sneaks into my dreams? What are dreams? You know, like they're these lucid dreams I have of pain that I'm physically actually experiencing in real life, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
That's strange to me.
Yeah. Wow. What is dreams? That's a whole nother topic. We'll need a whole nother show for what is dreams.
Right?
Oh my God, what are dreams? Holy cow. I feel like our whole entire conversation has lived in this gray area of this whole mind space, but I still want to
Yeah.
kind of look at, you said some things, so I want to look at the suffering and sadness on one side and the grace and hope on the other side. I already wrote down things that I think are the best and the worst of them, but I kind of want to explore it. I just want to go through this.
Okay.
I just want to go through and see what happens. See what happens when we
Okay.
look at those two things, because I never know what's going to happen when we play this game. Um, so there's six questions. I'm just going to ask what's the best and the worst,
Okay.
and try to boil it down to one word or a short phrase. So, suffering and sadness, we're going to call this one side. Suffering and sadness. What is, what is the best of suffering and sadness?
The lesson that you learn because you can't understand hope and grace without having lived suffering and sadness.
Hmm. So the lesson that you learn.
Yeah.
I'm going to take, I'm stealing from you though, because earlier when you were talking about suffering and sadness, you mentioned how you honor, like you honor the life or the
You
person.
can't wrap the love in grief.
Can't
It
wrap it in
dishonor.
grief.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it dishonors it, right?
Hmm.
Which is it's giving away what I think is the worst of suffering is that grief and dishonor.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm gonna say honor here, a lesson to honor. And then what about the anything coming to your mind for the worst of suffering and sadness?
I think the worst for suffering and sadness is the solitude that goes with it. Feeling utterly alone and that you're suffering all alone is very hard to go through.
This is going quick because we touched on the topic so much already,
Mhm.
but I'm stealing again from you. The terms grief and dishonor um, are what come to mind because you said it. uh, all right, we're gonna look at the other side of this tension was grace and hope. So, what do you see as the best of grace and hope?
Um, the promise that's in it. There's there's a line in a W.B. Yeats poem called The Lake Isle of Innisfree, and it goes, and I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow. And the first time I ever read that, it took me to my knees because I realized he was talking about that internal peace. Instead of feeling like you have a pine cone sticking inside you and poking everything, it's that calm. It's that calm internalness, like internal calm.
Hmm.
And suffering and sadness bring grace and hope, but the solitude is the worst. The best is finding that internal peace, that comfort within your skin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, grace and hope. So promise, peace.
It's the promise for peace, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing like optimism. I don't know. It's just like there's something optimistic about grace and hope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just the grace part, I think, is especially when I'm thinking about grace, like I'm thinking about like doing something really hard, whether it be like a yoga class or sometimes riding up a really, really steep hill. And
Right.
there's something about like doing it with grace that brings space, that brings ease in,
Mhm.
like it's like it like invites ease.
I like that. That's very true. It does. It invites ease. It invites um, just that feeling of victory and calm,
Yeah.
victory over your obstacles.
Yeah. Wow. Lots of good words here. All right. So grace and hope. What would be the worst thing about grace and hope?
Probably hoping for something that you know is not going to happen for a long time.
Hmm.
Hoping I'll see my loved ones again. I'm comforted by that, but I know it's going to be a very long time before I revisit the people that I've lost, you know?
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah.
that's the hard part, I think, and is the waiting. You know, I'm impatient.
Yeah. Okay. Waiting.
With grace, grace takes practice. It doesn't
Hmm.
come naturally. So there's always that crash and burn of trying to find grace and in it losing a little bit of your dignity,
Mm.
you know, trying to get there. You know,
Yeah.
but as they say, if things are tough right now, then you know the story always ends on a good note. And books don't end on the hard part, right? They end on the resolution, the denouement, the close. And so if things are tough, it just means your story's not over yet. You're in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and it'll pass.
Yeah. When I think about the like the worst side of these of some things like this, I always feel how they can be taken advantage of. Like how can your grace and your hope be taken advantage of? And it's almost like
It just was, so that's a good example.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, it just was, right? And so it's like yeah, to like it's like get gaslit, you know? Like the
Yeah. Or
get yeah.
people offer to help, and then it's optics. They do it to make themselves look good, but don't actually help you in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like or like there's just like there's a false hope, right? Like it's I remember when I was in therapy for I was going through a divorce and I was like going it what I thought was supposed to be like couples therapy to try to save a marriage. It was just me alone in therapy trying to save a marriage. And it took a really, really long time to come to grips that there was like nothing to save, right? There was just like you can't there's nothing for you to be saving. And so no matter how
Yeah.
optimistic I was, no matter how hopeful I was, it was a false hope, right? It was I was hoping for something that just like
Yes.
that really wasn't there. Um, and I but I do see this like that that people who have this grace and have this hope can also be taken advantage of because it's like you sort of see the good in everybody, you know.
And you trust.
Yeah. And
And I'm
yeah.
never gonna stop trusting, but I'm wary now, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, when it happens, when you get things taken from you, yeah, like one of my favorite stories that I wrote is about this bike that I built, and then I handed it to a kid to ride. I was like, I was just a kid. And I took years and years to build this bike and put all my heart and soul into it, and I handed it to a kid to go for a ride, and he just stole it. And it
Did
was
you ever get it back?
no, no, no. The story is really good, but I'm not going to tell the whole thing because it would take forever. But just the whole idea that, and I don't would ever, never want to change that about me. Like I think that I would prefer to be the person that lets my bike get stolen because I trust than to be the person that is walking around like skeptical all of the time, right? And so, of
Yeah.
course, there has to be some skepticism, but this to me is the downside of grace and hope is this getting taken advantage of, this getting gaslit, these
Yes.
false hopes. Um, all right, this is the fun part now. So we were looking at on one side suffering and sadness, and on the other side grace and hope. And these two things,
Hmm.
how do they live together? Um, and the best of the best on the best side, the words that we said were lesson and honor. The best lesson and honor, and then the best was promise, peace, invites ease,
Hmm.
victory, calm. So, like, just in this word salad of lesson, honor, promise, peace, invites ease, calm. Is there anything, what's coming to your mind when you hear all these words?
I think when I hear all that, that to me is describing somebody who's moving with like the stream of life
Hmm.
instead of trying to swim against it. Because it's when you're fighting things, when you feel like you're fighting life, you're probably making the wrong decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going with that flow, that forward flow
Yeah.
that feels good.
Go with the flow. I love that.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
Go with the forward flow. Don't
Go
go
with
in the
the
back flow.
go with the forward flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I think about like time is a I wrote this thing where it's like we're all water swimming in water, and it's impossible to measure the speed of like the speed of light is the same no matter how fast you're going. Like you can't, I don't know if you're into physics at all, but like in the world of
Yes.
physics, it's like the speed of light's always the same no matter how fast you're going. It's always the
It's a
same.
constant.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's this constant. And so I had this like I was at a concert and I was like in this like happy space and I was like, we're just water floating in water, and water is like this stream. So it's like it's got this flow to it, but we can't measure the speed of the water because we are water. So like
Right.
it's just this constant. But then like there's when you can kind of go with the flow, you're it's like time is standing still at this point. Time's standing still because you're just kind of like going with the flow. And I think about people that live really, really old. They live to like their centenarians. What's the word? Centenarians?
Centenarians or yeah, I know what you're
Centenarian.
saying.
100. They live over 100 years old. My grandmother lived to 103, so she made it. And it's like she must have just been like going with the flow. Like she must have just been like
Yes.
she was like it was like ease invites ease.
I totally get that. Like I grew up New Age. That's kind of what the religion I was grew up in, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I'll talk to my dad and I'll say, "What are you doing?" "Oh, plugging along." And that's what he always says, like just plugging along, just
Hmm.
going with the flow, staying
Yeah.
with it and not against it, you know?
Yeah. Go with the flow. I love it. I love how I like this game so much because who would guess that suffering, sadness, grace, and hope would lead to go with the flow?
Yeah.
So cool. All right, there's a shadow side, so there's like the dark side, the thing to watch out for. Um, when we said the worst of suffering and sadness, the words were solitude, grief, dishonor.
Mm.
Solitude, grief, dishonor. And when we talked about the worst of grief and hope, we talked about a false hope, about waiting, about being gaslit. So,
Yeah.
so solitude, grief, dishonor, false hope, waiting, and getting gaslit.
Very true. I love it.
What does it lead to? Can you come up with an equally cool term, phrase of that word salad?
I would say if you have all of those things happening in your life, you're mid-chapter in
Mid
your life. You're not at the end of your story,
mid
you know?
chapter. Yeah, you're in it. You're like in the muck.
Yep. Have you ever heard the bathtub of shit analogy? So you're in a bathtub and it's full of shit,
Uh-huh.
okay? And you're like, I'm in this shit right now, right?
Yeah,
I gotta get out of this shit.
yeah,
But then you look around and you get smell blind after a minute, right?
yeah.
And you're like, it's kind of warm. Kind of warm in here. Squishy. I'm gonna chill. I'm just gonna stay in my shit.
Yeah.
Then what happens? It hardens and you're stuck in it forever and you can't get out. So never sit in your shit because it'll harden. You got to get out of it. You got to mush your way out before it hurts.
That's great. I love that. Okay, think about how cool this is. Okay, so this is what just happened. Um, this idea of suffering and sadness versus grace and hope, and then taking that and to say we're going to live with both these things at the same time. Suffering, sadness is going to coexist with grace and hope. And the best of the best is going with the flow, and the worst of the worst is in a bathtub of shit.
Yeah.
So it's like when you find yourself mid-chapter, when you find yourself in the muck, in the shit, when you recognize, hey, I am in the middle of a shit storm right now, then
You got to write it out and keep moving forward
go with the
because if
flow.
yeah, go with the flow, get out of your shit, keep moving forward and get through that storm. You'll find it, you know?
Yeah. Oh
But
man.
never stop moving.
Yeah. Keep going forward. Forward flow. Stay on that forward flow.
And that's hard
Um,
to do when you're chronically ill and you're in pain. You want to be in bed all the time and you can't. You just can't.
yeah. Yeah. What great advice for people who are suffering with chronic pain, right? Like keep moving, keep going,
Push.
push,
Yeah.
yeah, push through it. Don't sit in the bathtub of shit. Get out and
Mhm.
roll, even if it might not feel good, but it's better than getting stuck in it forever.
Yeah, and what's worse is sometimes it's not even your own shit that you're stuck in, it's somebody else's, and you really don't want to be in somebody else's shit.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Um,
Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation.
yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to listening to this one whenever it'll
Yeah.
wow. Well, thank you so much. Um, I hope the new year is a great one for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work get published, whatever your writing aspirations are this year. I hope
Thank you.
come to
Yeah, my
fruition.
goals this year are to get back in the saddle,
Hmm.
start publishing more, and then get my actual book together to get published on wherever.
Yep.
Um, that's my goal for this year.
Great.
Thank you for letting me be here today. It was such a pleasure.
Oh man, no, it's not. It's not letting. Thank you for gracing me with your presence and giving me your precious time. It means so much.
I love your podcast. I love this whole idea. The guests that you've had have been really great. They're really wonderful writers.
Yeah.
Um, so keep it up. Keep up getting the good people in, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
You're at the beginning. It's still a baby. It's still a baby podcast, and I had no idea what it was going to turn into, but now it's like what a cool opportunity for me to get to meet writers and hear their
Yeah,
stories, the stories behind the stories. It's so cool.
it is cool. And think about it, when we're big time, you will have your hands on some really great material when all of us are big time writers, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God, everybody's gonna be famous, Pulitzer Prize and all this stuff, right? New
I'm
York
gonna be
Times
like, well,
bestsellers.
thank you to Andrew who got me my start on his show. And you'll be like, yeah, I had so and so on and so and so on, and then I had Elle Becker, and then all these people got big
Yeah,
right after they were on. So
yeah,
maybe you're the catalyst.
yeah, yeah. Elizabeth Gilbert's on like the wait list right now. She's just like, it's too busy.
Right?
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for your time today and for spending some of your Friday with me today.
yeah, yeah. Same for you. And I wish you much relief from
Thank you.
pain. And yeah, keep going with the flow.
You too.
All right,
Thank you so much.
I'll see you at Wordsmith soon.
See you tomorrow.
All right, yeah, tomorrow. All right,
Okay. Take care.
bye.
Bye.